My name is Honey, if you didn't know, now you know. It's for the people, if you didn't know, now you know. It's for the love, if you didn't know, now you know. My name is Honey, if you didn't know, now you know. My name is Honey, if you didn't know, now you know. It's for the people, if you didn't know, now you know. It's for the love, if you didn't know, now you know. Yeah. From the ones that call themselves the Salt Lake Cops. I'm moving back. They know that I'm powerful. I'm cruising on the street. They're bumping on a rocky road. I'm breathing rhymes and know it is my time. They're trying to take back the things that I deserve as mine. I'll use it wise if I have to revise. I'll bring them back to the start. Keep the reality in my eyes. I see you driving through the words you're describing. I wouldn't have to have some money if my arms was grabbing. Give it to you loud. Music is a surprise. I hope the key to reality was I'm never with these guys.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Honey to join in. Enjoy some of her music. Tonight we'll be talking about how do we talk about suicide. Yep, so we're just waiting for Honey to join in. Just sent her a message. And we'll get this. Oh, here she is, guys. We just joined in. Honey, how are you doing?
What up? I'm so good. How are you?
Doing good.
Awesome.
I'm glad you can make it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So today, everybody, tonight we're going to be talking. First of all, thank you everyone tuning in tonight. We're just listening to your music. Yeah. So yes, we got Voice of Honey. She's coming out of Utah, Salt Lake City, and she's been working with the youth. She's been doing this suicide prevention for many years. As long as I've been following her, she's been all over the world, north, south, east, west, spreading her music, spreading the message of love, unity, solidarity, bringing awarenesses on indigenous issues on the res, off the res. You know, right now I know she's working in the urban environment, bringing resources to the communities there in Salt Lake City. I'm glad to have her on this interview tonight. It's very special. And I know what this topic we're talking about is near and dear to a lot of indigenous people and people in general. Times is hard nowadays, and during this pandemic, it only got harder for a lot of people, and for families, for individuals, for co-workers, for our friends, our elders, and most importantly, the youth. We all are affected in different ways by suicide and the thoughts of suicide. So without further ado, the Voice of Honey, would you like to introduce yourself and a little bit of where you are and where you come from?
What up, you guys? Honey here, voiceofhoney.com. Make sure y'all check me out. Honey in my name is Honey. For those of y'all that don't understand what I'm saying, I am from the Didnt Nation, based out of Blue Gap, Arizona. I was actually born in Redlands, California. What I had said in Navajo is I am from the African American descendants. So in that same sense, I'm representing two different identities, one which is my Black folk and the other which is my Didnt, my Navajo people. I'm here in Salt Lake City. I'm so excited to be able to touch base on the importance of suicide prevention and raising awareness for suicide. Let's see, what else should I say? Oh, I'm also a COVID-19 navigator here at Urban Indian Center within Salt Lake City. So Urban Indian Center is a nonprofit organization that offers services health-wise, eye care, dental to our Native American communities here in the city. Not only do we also offer those items, but behavioral health, which is a big, huge thing that I believe is something that we can all benefit from here in the city and outside of the city. Blue Gap, Arizona, as I stated, is where I'm originally from, and I say that because that's where my Didnt peoples are, over there in Blue Gap, Arizona. I was raised in and out of Salt Lake City majority of my life. I went to school in Pinon, Arizona, which is the heart that I feel, the heart of the gangs there in the city. So yeah, I'm representing the two identities, and we've got an amazing event coming up, and I'm so excited to be a part of this entire conversation, because I believe we are able to help somebody or ourselves or somebody within our family dealing with suicide, attempted or completed.
And it's a touching subject. You know, within a lot of cultures, and especially our cultures in Diné, you know, it's kind of a taboo to talk about death. You
Yeah.
know, even to think about it, many ranges of death, passing of elders, passing of relatives, friends, you know, or even our own death. So talking about suicide, would you like to start off there? How do we talk about suicide?
I would say from the beginning, the way that I was taught, us as Diné, indigenous individuals, we were always brought up in a sense where there was always something to do, whether it be cleaning the house, going outside to move the dirt around, or catering to the livestock or the sheep that are out there. There was always something to do. So even the thought of suicide wasn't something that was prevalent among us as indigenous individuals. Our traditions and our culture does not represent suicide, but as the times continue to come, and this is just my own thought, my own choice of saying this, I believe that those values and those traditional aspects of our indigenous people, Diné mainly, because we represent that, but I'm speaking as indigenous people as a whole, we're losing that traditional cultural aspect. So not having the sheep around so much, or not having the horses or the cows to feed, allows us to have a sense of mind where it's constantly traveling. So I'm definitely guilty of that. I constantly am moving around. I'm excited. I have lots of time to think and not so much time to lay action into my thoughts. And I feel like as an indigenous individual, I myself have gone through times where I felt as if I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm not making enough moves for my people, or even for my family. And I believe that that's where it starts, is just the thought. And us as indigenous individuals, we're not supposed to be thinking of things like that. We come from a place where prayer and meditating or ceremony is a big aspect to our culture. So I believe that we came from a place where we were constantly busy. Over time, through the different generations, through the different places that we are, us as indigenous people are seeing the world in a whole different aspect, and it allows us to experience the aspect through a different way of thinking. And sometimes suicide is brought up in that aspect. And man, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we didn't have the TV, we didn't have the running water. I'm sure a lot of us that are out there didn't have that. So now we have that, and now we're, you know, extra grateful. But there was a time when we had to continue working for those types of rewards, shall I say. Those types of rewards were something that weren't so easily accessible. And now that they are, what are we doing with our minds? What are we doing with our bodies? What are we doing with our spirit?
Yes, and that's something to really talk about. How are we spending our time during the day? And a lot of people take advantage, like you're saying. We take advantage of the blessings we have, the running water, the electricity, even just these phones. We can get up and call anybody, look up anything. And so we kind of take advantage of our family and friends and our what we are watching, consuming mentally, you know, visually.
Yes.
And so what are, as far as identifying suicide thoughts, emotions, actions, would you have anything to say about how can we have a family member, we have a friend, they're looking down, they're not talking to us, what are some signs?
You know, this entire month, because I've been digging really deep into the numbers behind suicide, and 15% of middle-aged Native American individuals ages 15 to 24 experience suicide more prevalent than most tribes, ethnicities, most races that are out there in the United States. We as indigenous people experience suicide at a higher rate. So the way I identify it lately, because I didn't do this prior to this month, I ask the questions that are, what's the correct word, that are uncomfortable. I ask the questions that are uncomfortable. The best way to approach somebody that you may think is experiencing suicide is to say, do you have a plan? We don't want to, you know, sometimes we say, you're not going to commit suicide, are you? And in that sense, we're kind of mocking, you know, the idea or the experience of suicide. You don't want to say those things. And this is just my personal opinion, but from personal experiences, saying things like that, you don't want to commit suicide, do you? That's a way that could convince somebody to proceed with attempted or completed suicide. Asking the questions, can I get you help? Can we get some help together? That's something that I feel is more prevalent and more prominent because we're offering the space where we as indigenous people can both grow. I'm telling you, it is uncomfortable. Like, I've had experiences recently where I've had to bring up those types of questions, and I could just feel my voice just shaking inside. I could feel my entire body having an earthquake because the feeling having to talk to us as indigenous people of those types of topics, it's heart-wrenching. It's hard to believe that we experience those types of things. But another question you can ask is, what's going on at home? What are you experiencing at home? A lot of our indigenous youth or culture or people, we are experiencing alcoholism in the household. We are experiencing abuse, whether it be mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally. We're experiencing those types of things. And when we ask those types of questions, we're allowing the space for them to talk. The main thing that I suggest we do is listen. A lot of the time, we want to give our input. Oh yeah, I experienced something like that. But when you give your input to a person that is trying to explain to you how they feel and what they're experiencing, you're kind of taking away that moment for them to really open up and give the space to themselves. So my biggest bet, I say, is listen. Listen, figure out ways to ask the questions appropriately. Asking elders is different than asking youth. Asking a middle-aged male is different from asking an indigenous middle-aged female. The way that you ask and the way that you word each of your words is so important. It is the middle of making it or breaking it. That's how I understand it. The words that you use will justify what's going to happen next. So utilize those questions. Another thing that you can say is, I noticed you haven't been yourself lately. What's going on? A lot of the time, some of those questions are really odd and, as I stated, uncomfortable. But if you're just being yourself, bro, what's wrong? Like, you're not being you. You want to go get some ice cream. You want to go chat. You want to go talk about your mom, your dad. Things like that. Just being normal, being yourself really helps identify why any individual within our indigenous community is experiencing suicide.
Yes, and we know that there's a lot of identifying actions from how they dress, how they talk or not talking, with lack of eating, sleep, you know. But as far as identifying, I think one thing we kind of forget, for the ones that are not having these thoughts of suicide, triggers. I think one thing that brought me to this was watching the recent Reservation Dogs episode. Yeah. And it had a boy hanging. I know that was very triggering for a lot of people.
Definitely.
Very triggering, even for the ones that survived attempted suicide. And how can we help the ones that how can we prevent triggering? How can we notice when someone's getting triggered?
I'd say anything out there could cause any type of trigger. For me personally, as I was growing up, school was my trigger. I was saying stuff like, if I don't get this grade, I'm going to kill myself later. If I don't get an A in this class, I'm probably going to die. If I don't get a good grade in my art class, even though I can't draw, I'm probably going to kill myself later. I think acknowledging right then and there, instead of saying, I believe acknowledgement right then and there will really help. Sometimes we don't realize that what we're saying could cause an effect or could trigger somebody else. So when I would say those things, I wasn't realizing that that could possibly trigger the student right next to me or the teacher that is responding to me. So now as an adult, I'm a lot older than I used to be when I was in junior high. Now I acknowledge it like, are you really doing okay? Do you know what you just said? Sometimes when you say those things, you could trigger somebody else to feel that way when they're honestly trying to get through those types of moments. Household experiences could be a trigger. Mom, dad coming home from a long day of work wanting to take a drink, that can be a trigger. One thing that I can say is be the friend, be the family member that can say, let's go outside, let's go ride bikes, let's go paint a picture, let's go make some music, like let's go do that. Be that person. That's the person that I've been trying to be lately, is acknowledging, helping educate, and taking the moment and trying to reface it to a different experience. Sometimes even just going outside could be a change in life.
Yes, yes, I like that. We have to try to find a way to be conscious of what we're saying, especially if we're seeing the identifying symptoms of suicide in somebody. It could be anything. I'm always watching my friends, listening to how they talk. I have to be aware about the ones I love, because they could be telling, hey, how you doing? But they say, oh, I'm okay.
Yep.
I don't think so. So it's my responsibility to kind of get a little deeper, pick their brain a little bit,
Yep.
And also, if I feel that as a friend, I have to, like how you say, kind of get them busy again. How do I, there's activities, so we have a person in the family. How can we, is there any ways, processes, a diagram, anything that people can look up, research of how to kind of stay busy with someone that's suffering from suicidal thoughts? How can we, is there any information that can get someone that wants to support somebody? Is there any information you'd like to share on that? How can we
I'd say
support someone?
on a personal level, excuse me, just like you said, you pay attention to those that you love, those people that you love. I'd say from this moment on, if you haven't already started to pay attention to the way people talk to you or the way people react around you, today is the day. You better start realizing and really understanding and trying to dig deeper. You don't even have to say anything, but if you can just start examining your relationships a lot better, I'd say that will be the biggest support, because we as friends, as close family, as a loved one, we are the closest people to those that are experiencing suicide. If we can be the first step to getting help, the first step to being the help, I recommend it starts with us, with you, with me, with anybody out there, all of our viewers, all of our followers. It starts with us. Pay attention to your friends, your family. When they're acting a little outside of the norm, check it. Always ask, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Today you're different. Yesterday you were all happy and you were smiling. You had a big smile on your face. Today you're sad. You're sad like a sad clown. What's really going on? That's my best bet. There are resources out in different communities, different cities, different states. My best bet is Google. Google always works. You can always Google best ways to talk to somebody who is experiencing or wanting to commit suicide. That was the first thing I did when I first experienced having to talk to somebody about suicide. I went straight to Google. Google was my friend at that time. You can Google anything of that aspect, how to talk to somebody as an elderly that is thinking of committing suicide, as a middle-aged male, as an indigenous woman, as an indigenous youth. Our youth have the highest rate of suicide right now within our indigenous communities, within all different tribes around the world, around this United States. Our indigenous youth is experiencing that higher rate because we're losing, this is just my personal feeling, we're losing that traditional aspect. We're losing the people that we care about most, that we can talk to easily. We're losing those people. So who do we turn to when we don't have anybody to talk to? There are suicide hotlines that are available out there. You can even send a text here in Salt Lake to a simple number. You type in Native or Indigenous and somebody will instantly text you back, and you can talk about suicide, how you're feeling. Sometimes even a stranger could be your best friend.
Yeah, and that's something really, because a lot of our indigenous relatives that are suffering, they can't talk to their relatives. It's just very hard for our relatives to kind of accept these thoughts, about how we feel about ourselves. They don't want us to see us in that light. They don't want us to hear us talk about these things. So they kind of, talk over us a little bit and talk at us instead of listening. That's one key thing that during this pandemic has there been an uprise in suicide in the Native community?
Yes, every year the numbers fluctuates. Most of the time it always goes higher. Right now I feel we are at an all-time high. And I say that because now I am more educated on ways that I can help my indigenous community. There are ways where you can go out there and experience great things within the community. My first bet is there are after-school programs for the kids within every single city, every school district. There is an after-school program that caters to Native American students and families. If you're not in a family setting, that's okay. There's powwows out there. There's drum groups that are always willing to lend a drumstick to give you the opportunity to express yourself in the best ways. We as indigenous people, we come from song and dance. We come from song and dance where we've learned to express ourselves through peyote songs or first night songs, or from different tribes, shoe games, or lots of different activities that are out there that we can get involved in. How do we find those opportunities? You ask questions. You ask any indigenous person that you see. You say, hey, my native, do you know any events or do you know any opportunities where I can grow mentally, physically, emotionally? Sometimes it's hard for us to even acknowledge another native individual. But a lot of the time when you ask, hey, you know how I can get some help? We are willing to help. We know that suicide is prevalent within our indigenous communities. We know that suicide is well alive and ready to take anybody that does not have that support. But we as an indigenous community, as indigenous peoples, we are the support of our kids, our elderly, our parents, our aunties, our uncles, our cousins, our brothers, our sisters. We are the support, and we are doing our best as an indigenous community member. We believe that we can get us back to the point where we once believed. We continue as holy people. We come from holy people. So now our elders don't believe that so much because this thought or this experience of suicide wasn't prevalent then of those times, but now it's different. So it's up to us to bring us back to this feeling of holiness, to this experience where we are the indigenous holy people.
That's That is true. A lot of our people are not perceiving themselves as holy. You know, we are holy people too. You know, we are sacred beings. And that's another thing. Language, day affirmations. What are some healthy daily habits, affirmations? Some. What are some healthy daily things we can, weekly, monthly, seasonal things we can do to keep our lives in order, organized, in a healthy mind?
I believe prayer is, to me, prayer is number one, maybe even number one plus. Prayer is my go-to. Even though I have experienced thoughts or experiences of suicide, or I have known individuals in my community that have experienced those similar aspects, my biggest thing that I can give is prayer. The one thing that you can get from prayer is believing in yourself. You get the chance to say all the things you need to say. You cry, you express exactly how you feel. To who? It's totally up to you. I pray to the Creator. Everything that I say is honest and it's pure, because I know that there are zero judgments when I'm giving my prayers to the sky. When you give prayer to yourself as well as to the universe, and that's just my personal being, not everybody's about the universe like I'm about the universe. When you offer your prayers, you're offering a space for healing. Healing is a big thing, and the way you can heal is through communication. Communication from yourself to yourself, from yourself to other people, from yourself to some type of non-humanly being like a dog or a cat or a bird. When you communicate, you give yourself the chance to grow. Your mental is in a healthier aspect because you know where you are, you know what you want, and you know how you're going to get it over time. Prayer has been my go-to. And sometimes, even if my prayers are not answered right then and there, maybe like a week, a month, a year, it takes time for things to really come to you, because prayer isn't instant. Prayer happens through continued meditation, continued concentration. I believe prayer is where we started, alongside the responsibilities, alongside being holy. Prayer is what kept us as Indigenous people here on our land, here experiencing and going through all the things that has tried to tear us down and keep us down. Prayer has been the one thing that we all turn to when life really, really gets us down. Sometimes it takes little more than a couple prayers. It takes a lot more than a month's worth of prayers. Pray every day. If you don't want to pray, talk. Just say, I would like to feel better. I would like to experience better feelings. I would like my mind to be clearer. I would like to speak your wise words through me, whatever it is out there. I'd like to experience great feelings. Even saying those things, you're planting a seed into our universe, and you're allowing yourself to grow through your words.
Yes, that's the key right there. Putting your thoughts into motion, you know, breathing that life into existence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the ones that are dealing with these emotions, depressions, anxieties, what do you have? Do you have any words for people that are having these dark thoughts right now, in these hard times? Could you share some words of inspiration?
Feel it. Just feel it. The only way you're going to know if something works out for you or doesn't work out for you, feeling wise, is to feel it. Go through the motions. Help yourself understand that this could be or possibly be not, or it could be what you want. But through that process, confide in your loved ones, confide in somebody that you trust, confide in yourself or your beliefs, whatever it is that you believe, because we as Indigenous people, we continue to experience different beliefs. So whatever works for you, I just say start off by feeling it, feeling it. Sometimes when we feel it, we know what's right for us. Sometimes when we talk to our loved ones, we know what path we're continuing on. Our loved ones will be the voice in the back of the curtain that's going to say, keep going, keep going. I support you. We see you. We are acknowledging you through this entire lifetime of suicide awareness. Suicide awareness may be happening this month, but in our indigenous community, suicide happens often. So we, as a team, are continuing to raise awareness. And by doing so, we are showing that we have support for you, that we care for you, that we love you, that we're going to continue to push you forward and say, try again. Oh, that day wasn't good. That's okay. Try again. You know what? We didn't have a good day together yesterday. Let's try again. You're not alone. You've got some indigenous individuals out here that will always share some wise words with you. You take what you want and you leave what you want.
Yes. Yeah, that is beautiful. Well said. I mean, this is exactly what I'm trying to promote and get these conversations on this Instagram and all social media. You know, I'm trying to promote just that. It's tough questions. It's tough topics. But ultimately, this is what it's about. Expression.
Mm-hmm.
Honest expression. And some might not get it, some will. You never know who's listening, you know? So the importance of expression, the importance of, you're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us the importance of expressing yourself no matter what?
For those of you guys that may not know, I am an inspirational advocate, R&B artist here in Salt Lake City, as well as our indigenous communities. I continue to travel to reach out to those of us that are going through a rough time, or those of us that could be experiencing a great time. Sometimes the things that we say can touch home to most of us. So a lot of the time, the things that I'm speaking about is things that I've experienced or things that my loved ones have experienced. I'm an R&B artist, as I stated, rhythm and blues. I love to sing. I love to make music. I love to read, and that's so crazy because I hated to read prior. But music has been the best outlet for me. And I say that because earlier when I was saying, just communicate. Whoever it is you talk to, just communicate, express how you're feeling, state how you experience these feelings or how your growth is going. That's what I do to the microphone. My sound booth is where I'm most vulnerable. Anything that you hear in my songs, I don't normally talk about that to random individuals or even my loved ones. But when I'm behind or in front of the microphone, it allows me a space where I can express with zero judgments, with zero expectations. There might be judgments later, that is okay. But at the time when I'm expressing, there's zero judgments. There's no time limits. There's no time restraints. There's a space where I can continue to share with whoever it is that I share my space with, the creator, the universe, however it is you believe it. That space is there for me. Sometimes we need to take the time to allow ourselves to heal mentally. While I'm recording, while I'm mixing, while I'm mastering, those types of moments, I'm offering myself mental stability. I go to school at Utah Valley University. I am receiving my bachelor degree in digital audio, so I am an audio engineer. I continue to learn different ways to express, and I believe through learning and experiencing, I'm able to offer an opportunity to one of our indigenous community members, whether it be a youth, adult, or even an elder, to share that space and to learn, oh, this is a good way to express myself. Music is a healthy outlet. It's a healthy way to get everything that you're feeling out, whether it be stressful, happy, humble, crazy, however it is that I'm feeling, I'm able to put that through my music, and I'm able to mix it based on how I feel. The sound waves fuel my energy. I feel like it's gold that I'm continuing to express The words I speak are the words of the Creator. It is flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Music is how I express myself in the best way. Poetry, through my music, has taught me to use my words a lot better, has taught me to express in an honest and a faithful way. Through music, I've learned different things like printing t-shirts, printing merchandise for myself. I learned to be independent. And when I say independent, 100% of everything that I create is created by me. Everything that you hear is something that I've created. Everything that you feel is something that I created to allow that space to be available to our community. We as Indigenous people strive to be, and in that sense, I'm able to be through music and through my community. I'm a youth advocate. I continue to strive to allow a space for our youth to continue to express themselves. I offer an ear so that they can understand that it's healthy to be able to be listened to. Sometimes we as Indigenous people, we don't hear the things that is needing to be heard. But when you have one person listening, you're able to know exactly how the world listens to you. One person can change it all, whether it be feelings, educational, or whether it be through music or through expression. Each of us are that person for suicide awareness, and through us, we're able to grow together.
Yes, that is
Boss!
beautiful. Well
Boss!
said. Yeah, I love it, honey. That's why I wanted to talk to you, because you come with a good heart. You come with a good heart and a genuine person, a human being. And I seen it. You know, I seen you at shows, and I seen how the girls, the kids, they gravitate to you. They just want your presence. They want to be right by you. You know, and you as well. You radiate that energy. You know, like a mother. You know, ready to nurture and just listen, listen, listen. And that's one of the things. Without even meeting you, I understood about you by hearing your music, the R&B, the soul. You know, she just wants to make people feel good, man, and just vibe out and enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
Let's enjoy this life. We only have one life. We have to learn how to. I know a lot of our people are. We have been through so much trauma. We have been displaced. We have been competitive with each other, even through the boarding school eras. We put against each other through the Indian wars. So we have a very hard time showing affection for each other,
Mm-hmm.
showing affection, saying good job, thank you, you know, like words of encouragement, language that embrace,
Mm-hmm.
embrace someone's change, embrace someone's growth. They might have even my friend, he's doing this now, he's doing that. Embrace that change, and how we need to change our language into a positive, to embrace the person, to acknowledge their change, their growth, their struggles, and to change our language to help them. And they have the power. It's up to
Yes.
you. You
Yes.
got this. And I am here for you.
Yes.
I am here for you. You
Yeah.
know, and that's all what you just said is right on the money, because it's what we all need to hear. A lot of our people are not talking about suicide because of the taboo, and just the fear of that thought sitting in someone's mind. You know, what if I wasn't here? You know, oh, it's so many things. One thing I like to ask is, what without music, where would you be?
Man, I don't even know. Without music, I would. That's a good question. I never even thought about that. Without music, I'd probably be a nerd. In that sense, I'd always be, I don't know, studying. And I say nerd in the best way because I act like a nerd and I'm goofy and I don't know. Shoot, man, I don't know. If I didn't have music, I would probably sleep all day. If I didn't have music, I would probably be depressed all the time. If I didn't have music, I would probably be sad. If I didn't have music, I would probably be mad at the world. I would be so mad. If I didn't have music, I'd be lonely. If I didn't have music, I'd be lost for words. If I didn't have music, I wouldn't know how to express healthily. Healthy. I would not know how to express in the best ways that I know how now. If I didn't have music, I wouldn't have good relationships. If I didn't have music, I wouldn't have great experiences. If I didn't have music, I would be spiritually, I'd probably, yeah, I'm not sure. I'd be blue. I'd be green. I'd probably, because right now I'm yellow and orange and neon pink. I'd probably be dark blue and black light white, or I'd probably have braces again. I don't know. I'd probably have dirty teeth. I'd probably have bushier hair than I have when it's not fixed. That's a great question. I wouldn't be creative. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things I wouldn't be without music, and I believe that by me saying all of these things, you can see how much music has helped me, how much music has allowed me to be all the things that I wouldn't be if I didn't have music.
Yeah, because it's that expressing yourselves. A lot of our youth are not really promoting to express their emotions, to process their emotions, more or less. How do we process these emotions as a young age? A lot of our kids, they do what they see. They see their mom, their parents, their uncles, whatever, the yelling, screaming, or not screaming and yelling. They're just holding it all in, So it's very critical for our kids to see communication, expression, and to let them know to process these emotions. Music is a healthy way. Or I've been talking to just check out this page, Indigenizing Arts Ed. She's a two-spirit, and they are promoting indigenizing, like arts ed, and how important indigenous arts education is needed in public schools to help them with their traumas, to help them with their expression. A lot of our indigenous youth, they are not in a place in their art class or any type of arts ed education to where their identity is implemented within the curriculum to immerse the culture and art, to help them bring in the trauma and to recognize the trauma and to release it. And how can we learn from that? So I know that art and trauma, they are very related to us. And if our brothers and sisters and relatives are hurting and they are not creative, it's good to kind of have them find that within themselves. It could just be building something, arts and crafts. It could be painting. It could be sculptures. It could anything. Music. It could be the words, speaking, drawing, listening, food. There's so many things we can study as making life an art. Making living life an art form, making your way of living an art form, making the way you struggle an art form, and making the struggle look beautiful. Yeah. Once we know how to handle our emotions, our processes with dealing with these heavy emotions and thoughts, we can then learn how to struggle in a beautiful way and honor that struggle, and not with the head down and pitiful and I'm poor me, but I'm struggling and I'm happy. And that's the important thing, is we preserve that happiness within ourselves. And I know it's such a big topic. It's such a heavy topic, and I'm glad that we had this tonight. I would love to have it in the day, but I think this will be good. People are at home, and they'll wake up to this, and they're
Mhm.
going to be listening to this. As far as what's happening in Salt Lake City, you told me you had a show this coming week or next weekend.
Next weekend, we have a suicide prevention event. It is called Reaching Out to Our Relatives. And when I say that, I definitely mean our indigenous community members, but at the same time, we must remember that some of our friends are also experiencing suicide and they aren't in our indigenous communities. So when I say reaching out to our relatives, I do mean to our indigenous communities, but I also mean to those of us that we also live that are not in the indigenous communities that we are in. Reaching out to our relatives. It's September 25th, which is a Saturday here in Salt Lake City. It's at Liberty Park. So it is a community-based event. We're going to have lots of vendors that are going to be giving out all of the information of the services that we provide here in our indigenous community. Those are indigenous services. So if there's something that you're experiencing out there that you may need some help with, we have vendors from universities as well as healthcare facilities, as well as even dental facilities that are capable of giving you the information and the service that you need to continue forward with your greatness. We will also have a walk reaching out to our relatives. We will continue to support. We will show that together we are strong, together we are resilient, together we can make a difference. That's going to start at 9 a.m. I will be emceeing the event right beside my friend Patrick Willie. We'll both be there for the entire event, which is a long time. So we'll be there. We'll both be performing. I'll perform around 1 o'clock. So I thought about, I always think about what kind of songs do I want to perform for this type of event, because not only do I do R&B songs, but I also do hip hop songs, and I also do soul songs and all sorts of indigenous songs, lots of crazy things. So I always think to myself before, like a week prior to the event, what kind of songs am I going to perform this weekend where I can reach and change some lives, or offer the opportunity for somebody to take a few of my words, put it in their pocket, and bring it out for another day. So I believe that on Saturday, I'm going to do songs of support, songs where I'm expressing how music has saved my life, and songs where I'm expressing how great it feels to be golden. Those types of songs, I believe, will be the best type of songs for our community, because it's feel-good music. As you stated earlier, I'm doing my best to help others feel good about themselves as well as their experiences. So through the performers, we're going to have lots of presenters that are going to be giving their experience with suicide and how it has affected their lives or their families' lives. We're going to have crafts for the kids, of course, because we all know that when it's an all-age event, sometimes the kids get bored when they're a lot younger. So we've got crafts that are going to be available for the kids. All of my colleagues are going to be in attendance. And when I say in attendance, everybody's going to be there offering a space where you can come and talk about your experiences, where you can come and grow with somebody in a healthy way through conversation. And when I say growing through conversation, talking it out, talking about how you're feeling, talking about what's going on at home, talking about what's going on at school, what's going on at work. We're offering a space where you can continue to grow, and not by yourself, but with other people. September 25th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's all ages, it's free, and it's open to the community.
Awesome. I wish I can go. I want to go. And there'll be fry bread.
There will not be fry bread, because we are a healthcare facility, so we try to promote healthy ways of living, healthy ways of exercising, and healthy ways of eating. I can tell you, we will have lots of air and lots of water.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that, because that's I would like to have that talk. Fry bread. That's a whole nother issue right there. Yeah, we need to really talk about.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? Who brought it here? And why?
That'll be
But
another touchy subject.
it is going to break a lot of hearts, I'm sorry to say. But I thank you for your work, honey. And I thank you for having this mission in your life,
Definitely.
to keep spreading awareness no matter where you're at. I'm sure it gets heavy sometimes to hear these stories, to hear the experiences, and the research as well, to see the numbers
It,
stacked up
it
against
is,
us.
man. It's very heavy, but it's not too heavy. It's
Mm.
definitely something that I can handle. It's definitely something that I'm open and willing to talk about. I appreciate you reaching out to even offer a space, and offer the space for somebody to feel comfortable enough to say, you know what, they're right. Today I'm going to feel good. So make sure y'all check me out. Voice of Honey on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. If you're going to check me out on YouTube, it's youtube.com/the Voice of Honey, but with no spaces.
Yes, you guys check out her music, support her work. If you guys are in the Salt Lake City area, check out the show. Check out the Salt Lake City Indian Service Center.
Mm-hmm.
Check out their services. If you're in need of help, I don't know the suicide hotline number. Do you happen to know that?
Let me see. Suicide hotline number for Salt Lake City. Hotline. Okay, so the number here in Salt Lake City, which is pretty much prevalent to any area, is 1-800-273-8255. But I want to see if there is a native suicide hotline out there. Yeah, you'll just have to find it on Google. We do have one that is available here in Salt Lake City. I know that it ends with a 7. I think it's NATIVE number 7. I could be wrong, but I'm sure that I'm not, just because I remember seeing it in the bathroom when I was using it. But native, and then the number 7, and then text the words that you want to text, because native 7 is going to be the number that you're going to send the text to. But the words you want to put there is native. You don't even have to say, hey, it's me, Jamaica. You don't have to say that. Just put native or just put indigenous. Somebody will text you back right away.
Yes, and if anybody needs that number, if you know somebody who needs that number, write that down, Google it, send them it, call it. You are not alone with what you are feeling, with what you are dealing. Many of us have thought this. I have come with these thoughts. I have survived suicide. Many of our people that have listening, tuned in and commented, thank you for sharing. You survived. I thank you for being strong enough to overcome that. Thank you for sharing if you have, and on the comments, thank you for sharing that. That's much appreciated. For everybody out there, you are not alone. You are loved. You are important. You have purpose. You have something to do. And if you need someone to talk to, hit me up. Hit Honey up. We're here. We're here for you guys. And if you have any last words, shout outs.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking to everybody else. I was waiting for somebody to say, yeah, check me out. You can check me out on Voice of Honey. If you ever decide to send me a message, which I hope you do, I'm pretty good at responding, and I try to respond in a fast manner. So even if I'm really busy, I will make sure that I'm responding. I do my best to, at least if I don't do it right away, then by the end of the day. But I did want to, earlier I said if you text native number 7, what it really is 7 native. That's the number that you want to send a text to. If you want to spell it all out, it's 1-844-7, like the number 7, and then native. And all you have to do is text native or indigenous to the number, and somebody will get back with you as soon as possible, and you guys can learn ways to experience getting through suicide, being better in life.
Yeah, thank you, Honey, for taking this time, for accepting the interview and sharing the information. So much good information. I know a lot of people need this. And I hope you have a good night. Hope you wake up healthy, refreshed, ready to live. and pass on those good vibes because we need you out there, honey.
Yep. You too. Nado, nado.
All right. Have a good night.
See you guys.
All right, guys. Later. Yes, that is Honey, the voice of Honey. And if you guys want to follow her, that's her Instagram page. This is something that I just had to do. You know, even though it was late tonight, kind of late for everybody, just had to talk about this. I know that people are dealing with suicide, a loss of life, no matter if it's suicide or not. We need some support. Our community needs support systems. The drug abuse is rampant in our reservations, our indigenous people on the streets. We need a support system. How can we do this? How does it look like? What do we need? What do they need? What services are out there? So many things, so many questions. And here is where I'm just trying to bring a conversation about it. I hope you enjoyed this talk. More talks to come. Tomorrow we go live again with some more phenomenal artists. So tune in for that tomorrow at noon. And for tonight, I hope y'all have a good night. Remember, if you were dealing with suicide, if you know someone dealing with suicide, call the number, call the hotline, and just express yourself. Find a way to express yourself. Find a way to have good thoughts. If you don't have anybody to talk to, hit me up. I'm always here. Much love to all you out there. DXTX, I love you, brother. Have a good night, y'all. Peace.